them because they keep getting canceled and they keep getting deleted and they keep getting, suspended and suppressed. But if you've been hanging out in the right places, you do find some amazing conservatives who are out there doing some incredible stuff. And my guest today is one of those. A TV star. She's on Newsmax. She's on Fox News. She's on OANN. She's been on The Apprentice. A regular guest at Mar-a-Lago. So we have a lot to talk about in that area. And of course, just an all-around great conservative. Erin Elmore joins me. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Hi, great. How about you?
Oh, so great. First of all, if you don't know who Erin Elmore is, you're not following the right people. You're not going to the right spots. I saw you at TPUSA. I was walking through the hotel lobby, and you were there, and you were surrounded by like 50 people, which I imagine is commonplace for you.
I used to live in a really blue city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And people knew me, but it was negative because they are all libs. And now I live in Palm Beach, which I think is sort of the heartbeat of the conservative movement because it's so close to Mar-a-Lago. So I was out last night and someone's like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. I was like, that is so humbling. It's wild. So I appreciate it. Yeah. I think it's really good to be around like-minded people. When you hear something like that, we always have something to bond over.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because conservatives feel shunned, whether it's from Hollywood or sports or the mainstream media. So when we can get together and just sort of coalesce over the issues and have something in common, it feels really good.
That was and this was our first TPUSA event that we were invited to, and we were hanging out on Media Row, had a blast. And the one takeaway that me and my producer said, first of all, everyone there was amazingly attractive. All the dudes were wearing nice suits, all the ladies were all dressed to the nines, and everybody was having a good time, which when you contrast it with any liberal event you see or any group of Democrats that get together, there's always this anger, there's always screaming and yelling. People, not the hygiene's not always the number one priority. So it definitely has one of those things where if you feel good or if you're happy inside, it radiates outside as well.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I like to, as Dr. Fauci says, trust the science.
Yeah.
There are not one, but two scientific research studies that came out, and they show that conservatives are better looking. I'm sure they've been scrubbed from the internet now, but it's a fact. Conservatives are better looking. Back in 2016, I was working as the deputy press secretary at the RNC.
Right.
So I went to both the RNC and then the DNC in Philly. At the RNC, everyone was like beautiful and well-dressed and well-groomed and talking to each other just about common interests. And when I went to the DNC, people were in like cheap suits looking for the free food.
Yeah.
I saw like such a stark contrast to the people and their goals and like you said, their hygiene and how they look. And hey, I trust the science. Conservatives are better looking. You have to. And if Dr. Fauci says it's true, then it must be. I'm going to dig those up. I'm going to get my research team. Do it. I mean, I don't know that it'll be hard to find, but it wasn't in the past. But yeah, two journal studies, conservatives are better looking.
No, let's bring that up because you've been a spokesperson for Donald Trump and his campaign, as you mentioned. You worked for the RNC. You're all over the news. You're a major contributor to pretty much every conservative outlet, which is fantastic. You did say something, and I think this is really poignant and something that people need to realize because we always hear the democracy's crumbling or the democracy's in trouble. And you posted on Instagram the other day, the democracy is not in jeopardy. The liberal oligarchy is in jeopardy. And that's why we're seeing all of this coming up, bubbling up from the left, the raids at Mar-a-Lago, the Congressman Perry's phone being taken by the FBI, this incessant January 6th committee. It's not that we're in trouble as a country or as a republic. You believe it's because the Democrat Party's really in trouble and they're scrambling.
Well, I mean, I am concerned for the future of America because, at this point, very few people must be aligned with these conservative values and ideology, whether it's transing kids or boys and girls sports or like all the indoctrination in schools. Yeah. I think it's probably like 75-25 conservative, but they are silencing so much. Yeah. And these Democrats and technocrats and kleptocrats and the global cabal are trying to change the narrative and turn us into a socialist country. I do think that we are in trouble, but they are more afraid that they're losing grasp of society and culture and politics. So they're acting in a brazen, outlandish fashion.
It is interesting when you say that because there are, I mean, I can clearly count, and we get out a lot. We meet a lot of people. We have people call the show all the time. It does seem that the majority of the country, just by way of upbringing, by way of, the religious belief and stuff like that, is more conservative. I mean, we chatted with Bryson Gray the other day, and he's telling me, he realized he was a conservative before, when he didn't have a chance. Everyone was saying, you're a black guy from North Carolina, you got to vote for a Democrat. But it seems to me, like you said, you've got all these conservatives out there, but they're being silenced. And if you turn on like The View, for example, I mean, the whole TPUSA thing, there were so many great things going on at TPUSA, and all The View did was focus on the one negative event that had absolutely nothing to do with it. The Nazis outside, who many believe were fake Nazis.
Well, they're not real Nazis.
Right.
And I'm a Jewish person, and I saw it. And for a moment, I got really upset.
Yeah.
I was questioning what I should do. And I was thinking about my son being Jewish, and I had to just sort of walk away from it. But those were Antifa leftists dressed up as Nazis to make us look bad.
Right.
And anyone that doesn't realize that is just listening to the leftist narrative. And by the way, hit people where it hurts and that's their wallet with lawsuits. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA and their legal team went after The View, and they had to issue several apologies. And I do believe that Turning Point can still sue for the slander and the damages, because there was a window of time where, Whoopi Goldberg was, I can't remember her exact verbiage at this time, but she was like, you're complicit. This is your fault. Yeah. And that's not the case at all. These people weren't inside. They were outside. She made several erroneous statements. Yep. And honestly, I think that they have to be held accountable for their actions. We've seen people like Nick Sandmann. He got a huge settlement from, I believe, CNN and several other outlets. Yeah. And good. Yeah. Hold these people accountable for their lies.
It's interesting. She said, Whoopi Goldberg, I think her quote was, they weren't inside, but, they were inside, which doesn't make...
my bad.
Right. Yeah. Oops.
You're bad.
And
a lot more than you're bad.
It's going to take a lot.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They had multiple apologies because I don't think they know how to apologize. That's why they had to do it repeatedly. They had to figure out how.
I mean, I don't think they want to. I think they've got Trump derangement syndrome, and they're sheltered bubble leftists that are completely out of touch with reality.
All right, let's talk about the Trump derangement syndrome. Let's talk about Mar-a-Lago. You've been to Mar-a-Lago a lot. You've been a guest of the president. You've been to events there. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, and I love it. And we are members of another Trump club, so I do get some reciprocity there with my membership. So it's a great place. I love it. We went for New Year's Eve with the Trumps, and it's just a magical, historical, amazing place.
And for those people that have never been there or aren't familiar with it, there's it's a huge club. There's the golf course. There's the ballroom. There's weddings and things like that. And then the Trumps have a residence, and he has a private office off to the side, correct?
Yeah, well, now it's been raided. The golf course is on a separate property. There's a beach club that's right on the beach, and it's beautiful. And it's a historic property. And it was Marjorie Merriweather Post who always sort of wanted it to be like the Winter White House. And I love to see that come to fruition. And it's just so historical, and everything about it is beautiful. You just have this special feeling when you walk in there. And by the way, it's all like-minded patriots who are there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just really fun and entertaining, and a lot of people watching. Everyone is decked out, and there's big diamonds, and the women are over the top, and the men look so chic. It's just really fun. And to take my son there a lot too is really special.
That's awesome. And so they raid the place, and they now are claiming, I just read this morning, that what they were looking for apparently were nuclear codes or secretive documents about either our nuclear program or someone else's nuclear program, which is interesting because I know you know this. One of the places they searched was Melania Trump's wardrobe. Are we to assume now that the left is telling us they were hiding nuclear codes in Melania Trump's ball gowns?
I mean, I guess, if you have to defend them, which I don't really care to. Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to search the whole property, but that wasn't that was more of a, I just want to see what's in her closet. And on that note, I can't really blame them because she is so chic and so beautiful and so elegant. I would just want to take a quick peek too. So I'm not going to fault the FBI for that one.
I mean, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe they're like, let me see what kind of elegance.
Let me just take a peek, because I would want to do that too. I'm not completely corrupt. I'm just more being cheeky, but
no, everybody's curious. I go into the bathroom and I check out the medicine cabinet and see what people have in there. It's natural. It's human nature. As far as the FBI, now that Donald Trump has said, I'm not going to release the warrant. I'm not going to release the list of things they took. And the other thing he said was that I'm afraid that they planted information. Is that something that, you're a lawyer. The lawyers were there. They asked to witness the entire thing. They were ushered out of the property. Is that something that you believe is feasible because there was no oversight?
They also asked them to turn off the security cameras.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Why? There is no justification for that whatsoever. There should be absolute transparency with the situation. And when you don't have someone present, there is reasonable belief that they could have planted something. Yeah. Absolutely certain that they could have. And under this administration and under the world that we're living in the current circumstances, I would not be surprised if they did.
I'm a little shocked that people are still, the Democrats they're the party that cried wolf. We talked about this the other day. I mean, they cried wolf on Russiagate. They cried wolf on the whistleblower for the phone call with Zelensky. They cried wolf on impeachment 1, impeachment 2, January 6th. But yet people still keep coming back and believing them. Now they're saying there's nuclear codes that Donald Trump or nuclear, memos that Donald Trump took with him when he left the White House and is hiding in South Florida. At what point do you think people will ever look at the Democrats and say, you guys got to call it quits? It's over. We don't believe you anymore.
I mean, I'm sure we're getting close to that. I hope, because I'm in a very insular bubble. I no longer assimilate with liberals. Yeah. I believe that they're complicit with the destruction of our country. And every time I go to the gas station, I get angry at them. Every time I go to the grocery store, I get angry at them. Every time I worry about what's going on in society, I get angry. So I can no longer assimilate. So I am very much in an insular bubble of conservatism by the grace of God. Yeah. So I don't know what liberals think, and I can only surmise. But I do hope that reasonable people, left, right, center, middle, whatever, are starting to say, wait a minute, I've studied history, okay? I know what happens in communist China, Russia, Venezuela. This is starting to look a little bit like that. Maybe we should sort of pump the brakes here. That's my only hope. And I also said, I tweeted something else, and that was, if you thought the left was fired up about Roe v. Wade, you ain't seen nothing yet. These people raided the president's personal home in a dawn raid, not letting Trump's lawyers really touch and feel and see the warrant, right, not letting them be present with the search. This has fired up conservatives and reasonable people all over the country. Roe v. Wade is nothing compared to what they're going to see. And I think hopefully, sans any impropriety, we're going to see a huge red wave in the midterm. That's fantastic. I love that. I no longer assimilate with liberals. That needs to be a sweatshirt. Like, someone's like, oh, just this morning, a friend said, I want to introduce you to my friend. He lives around you. Most people live around me are conservative. Yeah. I was like, are they conservative? Otherwise, I'm not interested. That's great. That's great. Yeah, the red wave, I believe you're right. I think that even with Roe v. Wade, not everyone's ever going to have an abortion in their life, but everybody could potentially be investigated by the FBI or the IRS. And that's something we all need to watch out for. You've met Donald Trump. You worked on The Apprentice, of course. You got pretty far. You almost won, but I did really well. Yeah. We got on great. And then he helped me get my first job in journalism. I have a broadcasting undergraduate degree. He helped me get a job at an NBC affiliate in Jacksonville, and that sort of propelled me into this world that I've always wanted to be in. And I never thought I would be in politics. Never. I voted for Obama. Like I admit that. But I think the world changed. I don't think. I mean, I obviously changed, but I do think that the world changed a lot and conservative values changed. Yeah. But for Donald Trump, God knows where I would be. I loved working with him on the campaign. He's such a kind and brilliant man. He's actually so funny behind the scenes in real life. It's just mind blowing. He's just such a great man. He didn't need this, as you know. No. He was a happy billionaire. He could have spent his older years golfing and hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, just crushing it. Instead, he's here to save the country. He has no motivation to do this other than to help the American people. It's true. And like the Democrats, who are all self-motivated, more power, more money. How can we bilk this republic and all of its citizens so that we can get what we want for ourselves and our posterity? Do you think, we're all pretty clear there's going to be another campaign for president in Donald Trump's future. We'd all be shocked if there wasn't. Would you jump back in? Are you looking at another? I mean, he's going to need a press secretary. No, I'm not leaving Jupiter, Florida. Oh. I love him, but it's too much work. That's right. I have a young son and a busy husband. I think I'm Well, you know what? You never, as my husband always says, you never say no to a job you haven't yet been offered.
That is true.
But I mean, that sounds like a lot of work, and I don't need any more wrinkles or gray hair.
That's right. Oh, right. Plus, you don't assimilate with liberals, and talking to the press would be a lot of liberals. Yeah. Erin Elmore, tell everyone where they can find you, Erin.
You can find me not assimilating with liberals in Jupiter, Florida, and I know you meant social media. I'm on Twitter and all the other platforms is Erin Elmore, and on Instagram you got to add an Erin M. Elmore, and I'm there just being savage and based all day, every day.
Follow her, and thank you so much for your time. But this was a lot of fun, and we appreciate it. And next time I'm in South Florida, I want to come and visit you in your bubble.
Yes, it's such a nice little bubble. Very clean, very conservative.
Wait, I got a joke for you. Ready? Knock, knock. Who's